variety of services, right. In defining the specific services included in a given CPT surgical code, the following services related to the surgery when furnished by the physician or other qualified healthcare professional who performs the surgery are included in addition to the operation per se. So you have an E&M, an evaluation management service subsequent to the decision for surgery on the day before and or the day of surgery. So this is saying that after the decision
Has been made to have the surgery.
then what you do the day before or the day of the surgery to prep them into the surgery is included in the surgery. Okay, so but that was just like what CMS said. So
Pre-op surgery or post?
yeah,
That's a package.
so basically this is, you know, the pre-op, the writing orders, the post-operative care. Their explanation gets much more detailed, talking about supplies, and they'll go into much more detail about that. This is simple, logical things that you would expect to be in there. The pre-op care, the post-op care, local anesthetics. For example, and I don't know the code off the top of my head, but the example, when you start to read these NCCI edits, and I do read them, they repeat
So sad.
they repeat this example over and over again because it's the best example for demonstrating this. A patient comes in to your office and they have a head wound, an open wound to the forehead. You're not going to just stitch them up and send them out. Okay? If all you do is stitch them up and send them out, that's just a surgery. But once you start checking for a concussion, and you start to do other things that are related but more extensive than just the closure of the wound. Because you've got a head wound, it requires a more extensive exam. So in that case, that's where you have, again, an E&M and a surgery. Okay, so now the E&M's not included in the surgery. But like I said, if all you had done, if you just a bad doctor and you just said, hey, come here, and no lidocaine, no nothing, you just stitched them up and kicked them out. That's this. But what they're saying in here as well is that in the process of stitching them up, you're going to use lidocaine, or you're going to do a local. Okay, that's still the surgical code. Okay. So that's kind of my big spiel on that. Is that the local, the stuff that you would expect as part of being good care is part of it. When you start to look at what is beyond the nature of the surgery. So the nature of that surgery was simply to close the wound, but it was a head wound. So part of good care is to check, and I don't...
To do a neuro package.
Yeah, so that now can be put onto it, because the actual surgical code is just the closure.
Okay.
And all of that other stuff isn't by definition part of that. When it is by definition part of that, say, for example, when you're treating cancer or something far more pernicious than just a wound, then those things start to become harder to pull out. So if, there's the decision for surgery part of it, but have to be careful about the expectation of the work to go into the surgery. There's a big difference between a simple closure and an artificial heart transplant. I know that I'm being sarcastic. Okay. Unlisted service or procedure. There are a ton of those codes. They don't get used very often because it's not very often you have something that doesn't have either a temporary code or a code describing parts to the procedure. But if there is some revolutionary, you do something that may have never been done before, you use an unlisted code.
So if Dr. Benatti is using a brand new piece of equipment that he now has the patent on to do some microsurgery in your spine, there's probably not a code for it.
And I mean, if he created the machine as his, odds are if he got the machine from someone else, there may be,
Now he's created these tools himself.
okay. Because someone I know is related, they have a temp code already, and they're in trials. So you have a part C, so that becomes a category 3 code. Okay, so moving on. Okay, the surgical section is organized by organ system. Okay, we start out, actually they don't start out in any system. This is just for, the first one is fine needle aspiration without guidance and then with guidance.
Then it goes into integument.
Yeah, so the first one is percutaneous, so through the skin, and then after that it goes into the skin. Again, like okay, Lazaro was, like I mentioned last week, when you're doing the coding on this stuff, always, once you read the code, always look down, because it will tell you, you can use this with this code, or if you do these two things, it's actually a third code and not the other two. So it's giving you instructions underneath each code. So for example, if you do, so it says for placement of percutaneous localization devices, example a clip, metallic pellet, during breast biopsy, C.
And I'll tell you the other codes.
Right. For radiological supervision and interpretation, see something else.
So you do the bottom, right?
So it gives you direction on this stuff underneath of it. Okay.
What page is it?
67.
67. We're just going to go through these and starting at the next class,
Which is when?
we have to decide. It might just be 2 weeks because it needs you all to kind of put all this together. and you and I will figure something out, because I know you'll probably be gone.
I'll be in Alaska.
Okay.
You mean that they're bubbling? That's what you mean? We have to bubble, a bubble thing?
So,
Well, the Coke is related to the other one, right? That's what we're talking about?
well, this may not be unbundling, like, these are telling you that if you're actually inserting, a device, and they give
That's gonna
examples.
stay. There's
Pacemaker.
10021 and 10022 are just a fine needle
I
aspiration.
put them all together.
Yeah,
I put next
they're
to it fine needle
just, they're
aspiration.
just a fine needle aspiration.
That's
These
what I'm
other
saying.
things,
If you just put them all together like this, bubbling with the bubbles,
Oh, okay. But that, those will become big bubbles, I'll be
that's
honest.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying?
oh,
You're supposed-
bubbling, I don't know
Bubbling.
I don't know that term.
Bubbling, I'm sorry, I'm mumbling, so it's bubbling, bubbles.
So you're making bubbles in your
Yeah.
book to help you, I see, okay.
But also, I think you're doing it to indented codes.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm doing.
But even
So that way
so,
it would be easier, I know one code is related to the other one.
Ah,
All the codes are related, the other ones are not. When it's single or complicated or simple or complicated,
yeah.
I put them all together.
Or also, for example, you've got like 100, and I'm going to start to rather than referring to page numbers, I'm going to start to refer to code numbers.
So you
Okay.
can look them up.
10060 is incision and drainage of an abscess.
It goes with 10061,
Yeah.
both go together.
Versus 10080,
no
which is
problem.
incision and drainage of a.
Yes.
Highland cyst.
No, because one is simple and the other
That's what
one
I'm
is
saying,
complicated.
60 and 61 goes together.
Yes.
Yes.
And
80
80 and
stand.
81 goes together. Like
Yes.
20 and 21 goes together.
Yeah, but
Yes.
you, okay.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
But they're all incision and drainage,
Yes,
incision and also removal.
they're all incision and drainage.
Okay.
Oh, debridement.
Yeah.
Okay, now I got depth
Yeah, and
and margins.
yes, but we also. Okay.
So you have to read the coding tips, you have to read them.
Yeah, you have to read the coding tips, but you also, this is something I went over last week, and I need to go over it again. There will be what I call gimme questions on this test. Questions that are so simple, stupid, that you're like, this can't possibly be on this test. They are. They will be something such as, actually use the correct color. So what does that blue up arrow triangle mean?
Yeah,
Revised code.
revised code.
Yeah, and it's that stupid simple. And it's at the very bottom of this page,
Yeah, that's-
of every page, or excuse me, every other page. There are symbols at the bottom, and they tell you what they mean.
Wow.
So we're starting already to see these things. For example, you have 11,045. You see your first add-on code, and you also see a code that I believe is, yes, out of numeric sequence. I'm sorry, 11,001 is your first add-on code, but,
It's continuous.
okay,
11,045 and 46 are out of numerical sequence.
yeah. So you're starting to see, when you look on the bottom of page 68, you see a number sign, and it says resequence code. Okay, so that number sign, or the,
Bless you.
whether you want to call it a pound sign, a hashtag, whatever, if you see that next to it, it's a resequence code. It's actually, when you look at the codes around it, it's actually out of order. Because in the way it lists it, you have 11042, then 11045, which is the add-on to 11042,
And then 11043.
and then 11043. So, okay, part of what I was trying to get across is the meaning of this, but part of what I was trying to get across is the fact that this book, when they make changes, sometimes the changes don't exactly, it take a while to actually get in correct. So, just because you look, between 11043 and 11046, and you go, there's no 11045. The answer is look around a little bit because it may be resequenced. That's what I was trying to point out with that.
When they say revised code, what that mean? Revised code, what that
They
mean?
check it again?
Okay, so
What say that they
they
review?
will have revised part of the definition of the code. And what I would have to do is take it used to be that every year I did an analysis of this book. And I went page by page and I looked at the differences between codes. And so I would look at which codes get revised, have their definitions revised.
That was my 37-year-old child. Sorry. I had no idea it would be that funny. I will call her back.
Okay. The actual definition of these codes, this debridement is pretty. The definition is pretty straightforward.
Can I interrupt just for a second?
Yeah.
Every January 1, the CPT codes come out. ICD-9, you're not used to this because they haven't changed in a billion years, waiting for ICD-10. But ICD-9 comes out October 1st every year. And now that we're going into ICD-10, once we get ICD-10, it will be revised every year on October 1st. So you'll get, starting in the summer, early summer, June, July, you'll get a draft. And then there'll be a final call letter that gives you the revisions. And they show up in the code book as several pages with dots and triangles, and tells you what changed. Whether it's a new code, a deleted code, a revised definition, blah, 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 blah. That's what all these things are. Same thing is true for CPT, but that happens January 1. So in the fall, right about the time that the ICDs come out, finalized, the new books come out, you're going to hear about all the changes for CPT.
Yeah.
So they'll add codes, they'll take codes out, they'll change, they'll revise the definition, blah, blah, blah. That's what that's all about.
But we don't need for the code in the test, for example, we don't need that one.
You don't need to know what
You know
the
what
revision
means?
is.
No, you just need to know what it
Just
means,
like
what the
know,
symbol
yes.
means.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yes.
to know, but it's not important for the test, like.
You don't have to know what it was last year. They're testing
Okay.
you on what it is this year.
Yeah, which is
Um,
why we're using 2015 books.
Yeah, the CPT books, we make sure we get current. It's much easier to get information on upcoming ICD changes than it is CPT changes.
Yeah, you get them when they come and that's it.
Yeah, the CPT, the AMA holds very tightly, too. The debridement codes are very descriptive, so that you,
Deepest level of tissue removed.
yeah, I mean, and basically and you'll find this is just true as with all surgical sections, as you move further down within that section, the work becomes more complicated. So, when we're talking about 11,000, just 11,000 even, debridement of extensive eczematous tissue or infected skin up to 10% body surface. So that's just the surface. By the time we get
10% of the body, surface.
by the time we get to 11,044, you're talking about debridement of the bone. You're including the epidermis, the dermis, all the subcu, the muscle, fascia, for the first 20 square centimeters or less. And then for 11,047, it's each,
Additional
okay, and I do need to,
or part.
right. So
Square centimeter.
So the way this would be coded, so you got debridement of bone, 109 square centimeters. Yeah, I need to wake up. That would be several bodies. I have the two, anyways, glad you all missed it. So, the way this would code out is, yeah.
Four,
Oh,
cuatro,
it's
four,
list separately.
four,
In
right?
addition to code from family procedure.
5? Is no additional?
Wait, no, it is, sorry,
It's 4.
yeah.
Because it's 1,009 less 20, right? Or no?
No, I think it is 5. Because this is the first 20,
20, yeah,
so that leaves 89.
189, right?
So
That is
now
40.
each additional 20,
Is 2,000.
so 4 times 20
80.
leaves us with 9.
Yes,
But reading the code, it's each additional 20 or part
bars. Yes.
or part thereof.
Yes, fine.
Here's your part thereof. So you need to subtract all, you need to add another instance of this code. So 100, if you were to, I know this is a lot of bone.
But for example, Jeff, in the 1,1044, it's necessary the number 1 is not included in the first, because they say the first 20
Right,
is necessary number 1.
yes.
First,
So you would code this first,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because this is an add-on code.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it can't,
voy a ponerlo, ¿no?
so
Ya, porque no es-
You have add-on
The first one
codes,
that he had,
which are denoted by the plus sign.
Ya, ujú.
So they have to have a root code, a code that they get
Where
attached.
does this one number come from?
Yeah,
I want-
why the, no- yeah,
One.
the question is.
You put a one.
Oh, these are units.
Yeah, but it's not it's units, right,
So-
but it's not included.
Is it time one?
included-
What is,
Okay, 11,044 is the 9.
right.
11,047 times 4
No,
is
times
the
5.
80.
No, time five,
Times,
5,
Times 5.
time
Okay,
five.
so let's
why is it times 5?
Because
no
it's
sense.
for, because
Okay,
it's Elin,
so we have 100 and I know this is way too much, but
Oh, I know why, because of the, yeah, 'cause
Okay,
it's
so-
109.
so for this code,
yes.
it's the first 20, correct?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's included, it's not included just in the code, you need put the time,
No, this isn't. This is just this is
the unit.
This is the surgical units. So when you have add-on codes like this, okay, they have multiple units. Okay, so with this, I was just saying that
44.
you had one
20.
of
Right.
this.
20, the first one. So
Right.
more than 20 for the second.
Right. So you have one of this and 5 of these.
The 80.
So this is the 11044, and it leaves over 29. So in the definition of 11047, it says for every 20
Additional 20
Every
square.
centimeters or part thereof. So
Separate in addition to the code, okay,
so if you use
I
4
got
of
you.
them,
I got you.
you're still left over with 9.
So that's where you get the 5, so that's
apart
the
there.
89, okay.
A part
The
thereof.
first one is 20 and the other 5 is the 89, okay, got it.
Everybody understand how I coded this online?
Right now.
Okay. So the only real challenge to the debridement codes is making sure you have the units right. Because
Sorry.
you're gonna get descriptions of debridement of bone, debridement of muscle, debridement of sub-Q, and you'll be able to identify, they'll give you the codes, so you'll be able to match the code to the depth of the debridement, then just do the math to what square area was debrided. And like I said, I think this is a pretty easy one to get through. Okay.
I'm sorry, Jeff.
You know, may I use that? I leave it,
What?
may I use that?
Why
You're
not?
not even supposed to see that I have it. And I'm the only one in the entire company that's allowed to have this because I redact notes.
Okay.
No one in the company can order that,
Yeah,
except me.
only this. Okay.
Could I use it?
Nobody saw this.
Too big.
Okay, so skin tags, skin tags,
Cuadro, así.
11,200 is another add-on.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Parte por esta palabra.
Yeah, there's always, this question is always on the test.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
Always.
The skin tags will show up. Just remember, okay, 11 11,200.
11,000.
And just remember it's an add-on code, just watch your count.
Okay, removal of skin tags.
It's all counts, it's all based on counts.
Yeah, it's all based on how many skin takes. It doesn't matter where they are. The next part, okay, is shaving
Oh,
of
fist lesion.
dermal and epidermal lesions.
It's a lot.
And it's sized.
Yeah.
Genital lesion of arm.
And these are not add-ons.
No. So, somewhere in your book, or just somewhere in your mind, one,
It can't go in my mind, I forget what I did 5 minutes ago. Can't be in my mind.
okay, then somewhere in your book,
Yes, 1 inch.
I think everybody knows this, may know this. So 1 inch is roughly 2.54 centimeters.
Did you know that? I didn't
No.
know that.
No, I just managed this.
Everybody named Jeffrey knows that.
Alright, so I am a dork. I admit it, I actually used to carry a card that proved it.
You were a card carrying dork?
Yes, I was. Actually, I was a card carrying nerd.
You know, Big Bang Theory made that a good thing.
Yeah, I know, and thank God for them. But you know, Rajesh has kind of grown up beyond what I've made it. Anyways, back to the codes.
Okay.
So if you're just shaving, and these are for,
Incision.
okay, this is just shaving of lesions. So there are two things to watch for on here. One, the first thing you have to watch is location. Okay?
Location, location, location.
Location. Location will pop up everywhere in this stuff. Because location is going to determine your code. And the second, size. And that is the longest size. So let's say this is 0.7 centimeters. And this is 2 centimeters.
Okay.
Eso tiene que ponerlo arriba, ¿no?
That's the number you take.
Ponlo arriba, así que-
That's what it says right here on page 71.
Yes.
Size and lesion. Number of lesions.
Numerización.
Ponlo en el-
Okay.
¿Lo pongo ver?
So we're going to go a little bit more into page 71 because once you start removing malignant lesions and doing closure, so we have a